So in this Q&A, a simple way to make a few quid from the betting markets. So thanks for the question there, Stacey. Got my name a little bit wrong, but it doesn't matter so much. So you've come from match betting. I think that's quite normal for a lot of people to find their way into match betting, a bit of arbing maybe, and then trading. Now, trading is obviously a little bit more risky. It takes a little bit longer to learn. Sounds like you haven't got a huge amount of time and you just want to make a few more quid, although that may not be scalable. You've run out of match betting offers, so I think the first thing I'd advise, if you've not got a huge amount of time and you just want to make a few quid while you're sort of learning and building up your bank for trading, it's probably best just to take a few arbs from the market. Because arbing is not a million miles from match betting either. Obviously, you probably don't care about your betting accounts so much if you've lost the facility of getting extra free bets from them, and that's been how you're making an income. So the next step would be just to exploit where bookies got their odds wrong and take a few quid arbing like that, because it's pretty much risk-free before you... And I mean, this is a whole process of learning about the markets and about betting odds and how it works and as it goes. And then once you've burnt those accounts even, the next logical step is obviously Betfair trading. That's pretty much all you've got left after. To me, it makes no sense to... some people seem to fall in love with their accounts and go, I don't want to do any arbing because then I'll lose my accounts. And it's like, well, what use were they anyway? Like, they're just there to take money off you. So the next step I'm advising for an easy one for you would to be taking a few arbs from the markets. Now, where can you do that? And what accounts would you need, or what accounts are going to be best to do that? I'll share a few bits that I'm aware of. There may be more out there, and I'd advise you to read up on everything. At the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, information is paramount, so read up on everything you can find. So arbs occur when there's an indifference between the exchange pricing and the bookmaker's price. It's that simple. Now, there's two main routes for that to happen, and that generally is obviously speed with odds changing. So if the odds are due to, or the odds have changed on the exchange and haven't yet changed with the bookmaker, you can find yourself a nice little arb there. So you can back with the bookmaker at a higher price and lay off on the exchange, securing a bit of profit, a bit like match betting. You will need to be a bit faster, you will need to be a little bit more aware of how, you know, the odds and calculating that and doing it quicker. And the other thing is, if you've got an information feed which is obviously more beneficial to you in terms of knowing the odds are going to change or the odds have changed. So not that long ago actually, I seen a pretty big arb on the cricket and it was open for like half an hour there for the taking if you've got the accounts, because once you've done a bit of arbing you lose your accounts as well. I've ripped through many over time myself. There's not a lot you can do about it. Once they're gone, they're gone. But like I say, it's low-hanging fruit, it's free money. Take it while they're still doing that, because over time bookmakers are becoming more efficient, and eventually in years to come I'm sure there'll be a point where there aren't even really arbs available anymore, and that will be a very sad day for some people. And then your only option obviously is trading. Obviously trading's got the other benefits to it, the fact that there's more upside. I'm not going to spin you a load of bullshit, quite frankly, because it's harder to learn and there's more involved. It's a longer process, advised to anyone. Take your time out to do it and it will reward you over the longer term, give you more freedom, and there's not obviously restrictions with the accounts. But at the end of the day, you're not going to make a killing on day one, or it's very unlikely you make a killing from trading on day one. Now, go back to the arbing. If you want to find some decent quality arbs, and a simple way to find them is just to target betting markets which are away from the norm. So on the other end of the scale, if you're looking for an arb, you're not going to find it on a Premier League football match on a Saturday afternoon, because it is the most liquid, the most fluid market, it's the most focused, there's so much emphasis, the bookmakers are watching everything that's happening, they're managing positions, because there's a huge amount of volume going for that market. So you're not going to find an arb there. So where are you going to find an arb? At the complete other end of the spectrum. So if you're like betting on, I don't know, Kabladdi or women's volleyball or something like that quite frankly not many people watch and bet on, that's where you're more likely to find an arb. The downside being bookmakers are probably going to spot it as an arb quicker. Somewhere away from that, in the middle, you've got other things like greyhounds, and the odds typically move quite quick on the greyhounds. and then maybe cricket, test matches, stuff like that as well. Formula One, maybe even, or even darts. There's probably even less focus on the darts these days now they've got rid of the darts girls. But yeah, so if you're looking for arbs, you want to find you don't want the super popular matches and games and stuff like that. Also, you want to target something where it's highly likely that it's change, because obviously where there's change, there's opportunity. One of my favourite sayings I heard elsewhere, and as something changes, if you're in the right spot at the right time, anticipating it, if you've got the the funds and the speed and things like betting software like Geeks Toy available at your tips, or the right information feeds, then you can exploit that there and then. So where there's change, there's opportunity. And obviously the most sensible thing is to do both. So if you can find something like, in fact, I'll give you an exact example. So US horse racing, it is watched, it is on at the races a lot of the time of an evening. It's something I used to do years ago, and you find that the US horse racing, there isn't a huge amount of focus on it, the markets aren't that liquid, but occasionally you'll find that there is a bet on the exchange, on horse racing markets, and a bookmaker like Paddy Power, who offers US horse racing, or they always used to anyway, you can find yourself a nice little arb just before the start of a race. You're going to lose your Paddy Power account sooner or later doing that, probably quite quickly knowing Paddy Power, but like I say, it's there for the offering to take it. This is just foolish just to say I need to keep this account. I mean, what for? Especially if you've lost your bonuses there. The other things to mention, obviously, like any trading strategy or any kind of like successful betting, really you need to be patient, a little bit selective, and then when you can, you want to smack it for the absolute max stake. So if you're seeing a big arb, you don't want to go, oh, I'll just put £10 here, £20 there, take it out and hopefully I'll keep my account. In my opinion, that's a ridiculous way of looking at it. If you have the big arb, if there's the liquidity on the exchange, you want to hit it for the max stake that you can, the max stake the bookmaker will let you have. Obviously they're going to clear you off and close your account afterwards, but at least you'll have got a nice little take in the process. I think it's just fictional really, the fact that you can keep your accounts and keep arbing. At the end of the day, bookmakers are there to take money. They're going to close accounts, that's the way they operate in the modern world. And to think that you're going to sort of like confuse them with a red herring bet is extremely rare. It might be slightly different if you're match betting on sort of like taking small offers and doing it over a period of time. You might last a little bit longer. But in terms of arbing, I'd say wait for the big one, find a big dipper, kill it for a big stake, take your money, and then just wave to them on the way out and they say your account's closed. But in a nutshell, that's my answer for finding somewhere where you can exploit quite easily for a small amount of time and get a quick return.